We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Jack Smith's cases against Trump continue to fall apart. Biden halts weapons shipments to Israel as Hamas once again walks away from ceasefire talks, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. On the heels of emails being unsealed that showed the Biden administration was involved in Donald Trump's classified documents case before a complaint was made by the National Archives, Special Counsel Jack Smith's team acknowledged on Friday that some evidence in the prosecution of former President Donald Trump for hoarding classified documents at his Florida home may not be in the same sequence FBI agents found it when they swept into the Mar-a-Lago compound with a search warrant in August 2022. The concession from prosecutors in a court filing Friday afternoon came after attorneys for one of Trump's co-defendants asked for a delay in the case because the defense lawyers were having trouble determining precisely where particular documents had come from in the 33 boxes the FBI seized almost 2 years ago. In their filing, prosecutors acknowledged the government had previously and incorrectly told U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon that the boxes remained in their original intact form as seized, other than a decision to replace classified documents with placeholder sheets. The Department of Justice indicted Democratic Representative Henry Cuellar of Texas on conspiracy and bribery charges Friday. Cuellar's wife, Imelda, has also been indicted in the investigation connected to $600,000 in bribes they allegedly accepted between 2014 and 2021 from an Azerbaijan-based energy company and a bank in Mexico City to advance the former Soviet Republic's interest in the U.S. Cuellar and his wife have been released on bond. The Cuellars are accused in 2 schemes involving bribery, unlawful foreign influence, and money laundering, the unsealed indictment from the Southern District of Texas said. The facts are coming out about who is behind the pro-Hamas protests spreading through the United States. Though there isn't a centralized command overseeing the student movement opposing Israel's invasion of Gaza, there are connections between long-standing far-left groups and the protesters. The National Students for Justice in Palestine, or NSJP, has been around some 2 decades and has more than 300 chapters across the U.S., many of which have helped organize the college encampments and building occupations. NSJP has for months called on students to stand strong against colleges until they divest themselves of investments in entities doing business with Israel. Its social media pages have become a scroll of encouragement for protesting students, with videos showing activity at campments and around the world. As early as October, NSJP was promoting a day of resistance with demonstrations at colleges. NSJP receives funding from prominent Democratic donors such as the Soros family and Bill Gates. The Biden administration put on hold a shipment of U.S.-made ammunition to Israel, the first time it's paused a weapons shipment to the country since October 7th. Hamas's armed wing claimed responsibility for a rocket attack on the Kerem Shalom border crossing between Gaza and Israel, which is now closed to humanitarian aid after the mortar attack by Hamas. 2 days of ceasefire talks ended in Cairo when the Hamas delegation walked out and headed back to Qatar. If Hamas does not accept the terms, Israel threatened to push into the city of Rafah in the very near future. Israel has already been dropping leaflets telling people in the area to evacuate. A coalition of anti-Israel agitators seeking to protest outside the Democratic National Convention in August are continuing to put pressure on the city of Chicago, alleging their First Amendment rights are being violated, while some Democrats fear unrest could disrupt the annual convention. A series of lawsuits have been filed against the city in recent months by the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, the Anti-War Coalition, and Students for a Democratic Society at the University of Illinois, some of which have voiced support for the pro-Hamas encampment at the University of Chicago. In a Tuesday filing at the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, the coalition of protesters stated they want to engage in peaceful political speech and seek to exercise their First Amendment rights at the convention to deliver their political messages directly to President Biden. That effort is being stifled by the city of Chicago, which denied the groups respective applications for parade permits within sight or sound of the convention, according to the filing. So far, very few of the pro-Hamas protests have been peaceful. In the midst of unprecedented anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world, the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has decided to investigate Atlanta's Emory University for alleged anti-Muslim discrimination on campus. The investigation comes as college campuses across America are being engulfed by disruptive, chaotic, and often violent pro-Hamas protests, leaving many Jewish students with no choice but to flee campus or fear for their safety. The DOE's investigation comes after the Georgia chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, also known as CAIR, and Palestine Legal filed a civil rights complaint against the school on behalf of Emory Students for Justice in Palestine. The groups claim that Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students have been called terrorists, fake Muslims, and endured severe harassment, intimidation, and discrimination on campus and online. It claims students had their flyers, noting the number of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces, ripped down or thrown in the trash. CAIR is well known to have financial ties to terrorist organizations, and there is no evidence to support these claims of anti-Muslim harassment. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.